Welcome to the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by GrowthExpertz. You're in store for a chat about funding, marketing, startups, and all things growth.
All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to the Funded Now What podcast. I am your host, Andrew Lee Miller, also known as Andrew Startups. And I've got somebody joining late night where they're at. We've got Isha coming all the way from India to tell you about Contravault, a brand new AI startup that helps businesses with their proposals to larger organizations. Isha, thank you so much for joining us here.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking out the time. I know it's early for you out there as well.
Yeah. Oh, no.
But
No, this is totally worth it. This is something I'm really excited about because, I try not to have AI startups on the show only, but every week there's like a new thing that, and I think this is definitely an area that people aren't thinking about. So explain to me more in detail how Contravault helps people apply for RFPs and what RFPs are for people that don't know.
Yeah. So I'll start off with what an RFP is. That's a very pertinent question. So yeah, as a company, if you want to do anything related to government projects, if you want to build a bridge, or if you want to build a data center, or do any kind of work, actually, out in the US, exactly, there are a lot of RFPs that are floated by the government. So the government has to do it very structurally. They have to float out an RFP, and then a lot of vendors or bidders have to bid on that RFP to earn business. So
Right.
RFP basically is that gateway into any kind of project that you have to do with the government. Now, we as Contravault, we are an AI-based software which helps you analyze these large RFPs, because these are actually like 100, 200, even 1,000 page long documents.
Wow.
For us human beings, it's very difficult to read it and then make sense out of it, quickly submit bids. So that's the whole process which we're simplifying using AI, especially generative AI. It has made a lot of things possible today.
Absolutely.
So right
Love
from
it.
reading an
Yeah. So
preparing
our RFP, sorry to interrupt you. RFP stands for request for proposal, right?
100%. Yeah.
So it's essentially the government saying, hey, we're ready to spend millions of dollars on this bridge, to use your example. And then all the bridge developers can go read through this 1,000-page document, which will take weeks. And then you don't know what to say, how to apply, how to perfectly curate your proposal. So they work with you. And it sounds like Contravault simplifies that 1,000 pages down to a human readable level, and then goes, hey, your company would be perfect here. This is what you should focus on. This is how you can win this project.
100%. Bang on. Yep.
Amazing. Yeah. So my marketing brain goes immediately towards, do you have data and statistics on how much more RFPs get approved or how much more contracts get won by clients using your software versus not using your software?
Absolutely, that's a very fair question. So we're an early company. We started about 11 months ago.
Wow.
Have about 15 customers across the globe now, 15 companies that we're serving to.
Oh, wow.
And your question is very relevant. So we've seen an uptick of about 60% in terms of bidding more RFPs, and 30% in terms of winning more RFPs. So
wow.
If a company was able to just bid on 10 RFPs in a month, let's say, before using Contravault, now they're able to bid on 16. That's a 60% uptick. And if they were winning like two or maybe five of them, now they're actually ended up winning 6.5 to 7
so
more.
The next question I have is, how do you price for this? Because if it's cheap, they're not going to want it. They're not going to assume it's powerful. So it needs to be expensive probably, right?
Yeah. So on an average, Andrew, we're still discovering
perfect
the price
timing to be on the show,
because we're very early in this space. Yeah. And honestly, in the US, there are a lot of companies who are providing these kind of services. You guys are like bang on in the software space. You build softwares, you sell softwares like anything. So it's a competitive market already. But our price, the ACV that we're selling is around 50,000 US dollars right now for an annual subscription. But we're very confident that this is very low, and we can go a lot higher than this, given the kind of value that the product provides. And the market is also
these are,
mature in terms
just
of
so people
paying
know, these are
SaaS
20, 30
product.
million dollar projects that they're winning sometimes. So 50 grand is nothing to get
Easily.
another 2 deals a year is crazy. Have you thought about being
Yeah.
the first player
Yeah.
ever in the market to charge just a percentage of new deals won through using your software?
That's a brilliant question, and we've been exploring that. But I think, Andrew, we're a little scared to do that because we're a very early company right now. So I have 15 companies in my portfolio. Should I even ask for such kind of money? Will it not backfire saying, are you even big enough to ask that kind of percentage from me? So
Yeah,
this thought
perfect.
has crossed our
Let me give
minds,
you
but
let me
we're
give you
kind
the
of
first piece
scared.
of advice.
Your
I think
thoughts
that
would love to
you
hear.
allow the customer to decide how they want to pay. So that it should cost 5 to 10 times more if
Hmm.
it's percentage. It's because like a lot of
Yeah.
businesses are we don't know that because you're an early stage company, we don't know that you're actually going to close us a deal. But you'll basically work for free until we close a deal through you, and then I don't have to put any skin in the game. There are some entrepreneurs, some CEOs that are going to want this, and they're willing to pay 5, 10x more because it's going to come out of money that's in the future, as opposed to some people, like you mentioned in the United States, much more tech savvy, risk tolerant, ready to be an early adopter in their space. Construction, not that early adopter tech focus. So I think for the old school people, you give them this opportunity. We
Yeah.
also do work on a percentage basis, but you need to be able to track it. So there needs to be something in the software where they don't need to report to you. You have some kind of awareness alert that, oh, this
Yeah.
company won this bid, it's going to cost this much, and then send an invoice. The day they get paid, they make the payment, or somehow you have to be involved. Otherwise, it can be very messy trying to be like, by the way, did you guys close that
Yeah.
RFP? They're not going to respond or tell you, right? Not that they're unethical, but they're just focused on other things. So if you're able to make it a software based monitoring system to where that you can say, hey, then I think you will get some
Yeah.
customers that are really excited to move forwards with no risk until they get paid. And that's kind of how we navigate that with early stage startups. But the question also is, how much cost is the company going to incur from those free customers? Now, if you have 15 customers already
Yeah.
paying $50,000 a year, you probably have enough money to take some risks and be like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll take a risk. Also, you do that
Yeah.
sometimes to
Sure.
get a logo in the door. If you want a really
Yeah.
big, I'm originally from Ohio. We have a huge construction company. I can't pronounce the name. Kokosing, one of the biggest in the world, is from Ohio. Maybe even the biggest construction company. I can't think of it. Well, anyway, a logo like that, they're going to be really slow to adopt new technology. But if it's like free and their digital innovation team can spearhead it because it's like free to try, it might move the sales cycle much quicker as well. And so those are the times when we want to like take the risk, I
Yeah.
think. So just planting a seed there that's the point of having you on
Yeah.
the show, is giving you marketing advice. And pricing is like the hardest thing to figure out when you're creating
Yeah.
a new thing, and with AI as well, because the perception of value of AI is going up and down depending
Yeah.
on how burnt out people are. Another thing you could do is just take all the pricing models
Yeah.
of all the competitors that put them all into AI and be like, what's the average? What are most people doing? And
Yeah.
then instead of worrying about the decision making, okay, let's not try and reinvent the wheel
Yeah.
here. Let's just do what's working in the US because we know that it will convert. So but yeah,
Yeah. I actually asked the AI to find it out
yeah.
and
And
then do the
so,
comparison and let me
um,
know what happens.
but, but,
So
but I think
no,
you're right with
that's a
the,
fair
the
advice.
going
Yeah.
in at a lower, but still expensive price first, because if it was, a monthly thing, then just the value's
Yeah.
not there. Like I'm focused on closing $10 million deals. I don't care about a $600 a
Yeah.
month software. But if it's, there's this thing, there's a
Yeah.
psychological thing called a price pact. And basically, when something costs enough money, then you'll actually use it, and they have to actually use it to be successful. I mean, actually, let's walk through that. I'm interested to know. Do you just
Great.
give them the software, or there's a human in the loop component, or what?
Sorry, before we
Yeah,
go
sure.
into that, a follow from the last thought of my thought. So you said that this free kind of model can be the freemium model initially, and then we start charging. But here in India, what we've seen is that if you give the product out for free for, let's say, a period of time, these guys sometimes lose track of it. They just don't even care because no money is invested in that. So what is the kind of pulse in the US market? Do they really care that, okay, we have to give some time to this product
I
and
think
then
it's a
allow
sales
it to
issue.
succeed in our
So
company?
culture in India a little bit different. I've done a lot of business in India as
Hmm.
well. I don't think that's the only market you're in. First of all, at the end of the day, AI is being adopted in different speeds in different places. India is one of the fastest, though, and so you have to be able to really sell it
Yeah.
well. If you have case studies that show that competitor logos that they know in India are making X number of millions more, and you talk to the CEO, they're going to be like, "Chalo, let's do this. Don't fucking ignore this. Pardon my language, because paisa chahiye." You know what I mean? And so um,
Yeah. How
my
are
Hindi.
you?
I mean,
What is
like I said, doing a
happening?
lot of
How do
business
you
in
know?
India, you better learn kamti karo, paisa nahi. You better learn how to ask for a cheaper price, you know. And so anyway, um, 20
That's
years in
true.
tech, if you don't learn Hindi, what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean? And so anyway,
Yeah,
so
no, absolutely.
I think that it's a sales issue. I always tell people that are selling B2B, there's no such thing as a bad client. There's bad sales and there's bad prospecting. And so yes, I think that if you sell it as, hey, try this out whenever you get a chance, then they might not do that. That's why I was asking, at that price point, there should be a human account manager for every client. And especially you're in India, the cost is
Yeah,
negligible. But that person is then following up like, hey, I'd love to help you next time you
yeah,
get an RFP. I'd love to walk you through. You have a 60% or 30% chance higher of closing it. And so even though it's free, putting a human on it and working with them
yeah.
will make sure that they use it. So all they have to do is
Makes
contact you.
sense.
Hey, I got this RFP. Help me do this. And then you help them. And then once they close the deal and they go, oh my
Yeah,
God, then they put a human on it and you can step away. But like, yeah, I think that's probably, because you're in India, you should be very team
more
heavy as
complicated.
opposed to
Exactly.
startups in the US,
Yeah,
like having to use only AI because the cost of salaries are so high here. So leverage the fact that you're there. I mean, I have
yeah,
Indian founders I know that have 100 million ARR and still the whole team is in India, even though the founders live in the US, because like the work is incredible.
yeah,
Obviously, talent super smart, but the costs are 80% difference. So leverage that. So I think having a human following up with them is
yeah,
a really big deal. Maybe even like, hey, we saw this RFP out there, and you guys gone for this yet? No, we haven't. Okay, well, we'll help you, and then you're charging 10% or whatever. It's not as scalable because it's like an agency model, but again, it's only temporary. I think it's only
yeah,
until they close that first deal and then they're paying you or something.
yeah,
I don't know. There's a total joy in for me in doing things that don't scale early on. And 15 customers is already a lot, so it's not like you're at square zero.
yeah,
But if you're, and I was going to ask you later on, if that's one of the major bottlenecks is they get it and then they don't use it, then just put a human on it and follow up. The magic is in the follow ups there.
yeah.
Make sense? Awesome.
Makes
Well,
sense.
we
That's
skipped
that's
over the
nice.
fundraising
Yeah,
stuff, so let's
yeah.
go back there. How was it raising money for this? AI startup, female founder. Like, give us some insight on what that experience was like for you. Oh, okay.
It was great. I think investors are not really, I mean, it was bittersweet in some ways. It was sweet as well as bitter in some ways. So investors are not really used to having women on the table as much, I would say. So it's like, because if you see the
Yes.
stats, only I would say 2 to
Even
3 or
less. It's like
5% are women
point
led
0.3% for women of
startups.
color. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. And then here in India, especially, or even in the globe, I think you don't see enough examples to be that person, you know. So as an entrepreneur, I have to see some women up on top to be like them one day, right? So I always missed those examples. So men around me had to provide such examples, which, really boosted my confidence. But yeah, I think. while talking to investors, they would always ask. So actually, my
Cool.
co-founder also happens to be my husband. So there was this question about if you guys are selling to the US, you'll have to travel, but both of you will travel always. It will be a good thing, but can it be a bad thing? Because, you guys are tied to India in some ways, we'll spend less time. And I think as a woman founder, one good thing which has happened is that a lot of women around me have gotten inspired. A lot of women from my alma mater, for example, my colleges in the past, have in my B school, my undergrad college, they've reached out to me and said, "You're doing this cool stuff."
Amazing.
Women who are working with me are always
I love
inspired.
that.
I
I
feel
mean,
overwhelming
that's why I
sometimes,
begged you
but
to
yeah,
be on the show.
it's
I want
there.
to make sure that I'm giving equal representation. If you look at the show, it's like 50%
Thank you for
female,
that.
maybe 35% female of color guests on the show. And that's me and my
Yes.
Bangladeshi outreach team, reaching out to people that I choose, like, hey, I want that person on the show. And also, just cool, unique applications
Sweet.
are also what I look for. You know, um, but yeah, no, but so where were the
Yeah.
investors? Let's just like do a couple more questions on like, how did you and your husband raise the round? And what did you do before? Like,
Yeah.
did you have a startup success before this? Like, what led you to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had another startup before this, which was in pet healthcare, and that space in India was very, very small. We just wanted to do something out of enthusiasm, and we were not very well aware of TAM and market sizing and how to make the money. All the investor language we did not know. We were just a bunch of young kids wanting to do something of their own. So we started from that. So a lot of learnings came along in that
Oh,
one.
wow.
We still got acqui-hired by another company in India, which was great. And then my
Wow.
brother, actually my third co-founder in Contravault, he was doing some crazy stuff around Gen AI. And then my husband and I were like, let's hop onto the same boat as his because this looks cooler. So that's what we did. And then we realized that we're a bunch of fresh graduates who don't have money, right? And then the kind of interest in the market really overwhelmed us because we were like, okay, if we have to serve this big company, we need to have some kind of money in the bank to be able to afford to build the product, serve to them, maybe pay them a visit in another city. So all those kind of expenses really
Wow.
pushed us to raise an early
Yeah.
round.
Yep.
So we raised around 600K US dollars, not too much, but it has really propelled us forward in terms of building a company, having this office, and
Awesome.
doing
Yeah, it makes
things the
sense.
way
No,
they
I
have
mean,
to be done.
600K
So yeah.
getting to 15 customers paying 50K is an incredible ROI already. And I think you probably, I mean, I don't know if you're planning to raise another round, but it sounds like you're acquiring customers pretty easily. That's awesome. Let's talk about that. How did you
We are
acquire those
actually,
first 15
yeah,
customers?
yeah. I think the acquiring the first
Always.
customer was the hardest for us because Gen AI was new and we were trying to build something out. So we were just building chatbots after Gen AI came in because that was the natural extension of ChatGPT. And then somebody told us, why don't you put this chatbot on my RFP? Because this is like the most difficult piece that I'm going through in my company. So if this chatbot can actually talk to my RFP, give me responses about what is written, I will be happy. I will go back home early. I will be happy with my life. So that's where we thought, is this a real problem in these construction, engineering, power companies? Is this really a problem? And that's where we started discovering it. We did first few initial demos, and then one demo clicked where the teams were actually jumping out of their chairs saying, oh my god, my teammate just spent 2 weeks finding this answer and your AI is doing it in 5 seconds. How is that even
Wow.
possible? So that was the discovery that we had, and we were like, okay, we're on to something now. And then that company started paying us, which was another breakthrough for us because if somebody is
Absolutely.
paying you money, then it
It,
really
it's,
matters to them, right? So
it's the
uh,
greatest feeling, I
yeah,
think,
and then it
maybe.
was,
I mean,
yeah.
I haven't had children, so I don't know if that's probably better, but something similar to where you come up with the idea, you figure out the pricing, and then you get that moment where it blows someone away and the money hits the bank is like it's better than any drug I've ever tried. So I think
100%.
that's amazing and honestly incredible that you found that. You make it sound like so easy, like, oh, I just jumped on this boat with my brother, but it is a really unique application. But, I was wondering if I was going to ask this next question, but you kind of touched on it, like how much more powerful is Contravault than me just uploading an RFP to a paid version of ChatGPT and being like, hey, tell me what I can do with everything you know about my company. Like if I give it a really good prompt, how different are the results?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Andrew, I get asked this question almost every day of my life, so it's a very, very relevant question. With Contravault, what we've done is we've actually trained the AI
Mm,
models on 200,000 plus RFPs across industry. So now it's not a general purpose model, it's like
perfect
vertically
answer.
trained for RFP contractual language. That is one. Second is, I think what we've really done is that we've automated human-led processes, manual processes. So we're not just a search; we're actually automating the entire process of building out a synopsis, understanding whether a tender, whether an RFP is a go or a no go for me. As a company, what kind of risks do I encounter from this tender? Or maybe how do I draft the pre-bid clarifications, right? Before actually submitting the bid, how do I ask the right questions of my employer so that I can get some things changed in this RFP according to my standards?
Yeah.
So all of these processes take weeks of time, which is now done on the
Yeah.
software. So it's not really a search anymore. It's like plus 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 plus. So you will never
Got
be
it.
able to
No,
reach
that's
that level
perfect
using
answer.
ChatGPT.
I think it makes a
Uh,
lot of, even the first few seconds. So my next question is, how did you get 200,000 RFPs to do the training for that LLM?
I think both US and India, we see hundreds of RFPs getting floated almost every day,
True.
and they're free to download. They're very much publicly available. And that was our gold mine because we thought, okay, we don't have to pay money to get this data, so might as well start, training the AI models. And then we had some subject matter experts whom we started
Yeah.
paying, on equity basis as well as retail basis. So they would help us understand what is AI throwing, and then what is the human feedback behind it, is it okay, not okay? So that's how the
Wow.
process happened, and we did that for a good 6 months before
Okay.
actually
So how are you getting customers
doing
right now?
anything
Like
else.
which
So
marketing
yeah.
channels are working the most for you?
So Andrew, this was a question that I also wanted to ask from you. So in India, we've figured out three, four very good channels. As you would know, WhatsApp is a brilliant channel where Indians do hop onto and reply very quickly. So in India, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, cold
Hmm.
calls, emails are good channels that we've figured out. Sometimes it's conferences as well, attending good events. That's about it. In the US, we're still figuring it out. So we've started off with LinkedIn and emails, but we don't know what really works. We've heard from other founders that cold calls also work in the US,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I really
you're
wanted
going
your
for
advice on the
quality
same.
over
So
quantity here because of the high ticket price. That's so like you don't need ads specifically or like really large top of the funnel stuff. I
yeah,
think you know, depending on, I think putting out a white paper and doing PR, it really helps in the US. So white paper on the
yeah,
future of AI for prospecting, or the AI for construction, or if it's mostly construction, the future of AI for RFPs, even super specific, can lead to the press quoting you a lot, and then
hmm,
can lead to that niche media. Inbound leads
yeah,
tend to have a very short sales cycle. So everything that you mentioned is pretty much outbound sales
yeah,
and lead generation. And that's when you're
yeah.
having to convince someone, explain the tech, do a lot of education, which costs a lot of money and time for a first mover.
True.
It's actually really good that there's a lot of competition because, again, you can beat them on having the plus 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 that you mentioned. You can beat them on having that freemium model. It's not really a freemium model. Because it's not free and then you pay. It's you pay once they get paid, but still, so those are ways that you can beat the market, but you don't have to spend on educating people. You can literally say, hey, we saw that you're working with this company, we can do this that they can't. Or, are you getting good results for them, as opposed to, hey, we have this AI thing that does this and this, and oh yeah, you want a demo? Like, they'll just get it. So the US, I think, a little bit more seasoned. I don't think you have as much pullback on the price as you would in India as well. Just to say that sensitive.
Yeah. I know, right?
I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God.
I was like, do I say it or do I not?
No, I
No. I love it. I mean, that's how I
say
learned
it.
Indians fighting over the price with Indian dudes on stuff. But it is
Yeah. But like पैसा
actually
चाहिए and they're
tomorrow.
like
So I
पैसा
grew
नहीं
up.
दे
My best
सकते.
friend is
So it's
Cindy,
like,
and I'm going out with, and they're all entrepreneurs, and I'm going out with them. And
yeah,
even though like wildly successful millionaires probably going to
yeah.
listen to this episode, the fighting over like $2 charges on a receipt and stuff it's funny. Anyway, well, yeah. But
Actually,
anyway,
Cindy's
I'm of
famous
Jewish
for it.
descent, so
Yeah,
there's
they're
racism
famous.
there too. So we'll leave this. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Anyway, so another thing about I'm crying
God,
right now. Another thing about
no.
entering the U.S. So we mentioned like content and PR. So PR is essentially like really easy to hack. What you want to do is have an intern or a marketing employee in India. Hey, I want you to find every single publication that talks about construction, RFPs, government contracts, all of these keywords. And in a month or 2 months of passively following the news, you can also set up Google alerts for these keywords. You can ask AI, you can get a list. You can find all the reporters and writers because all of those articles usually have a clickable profile to the writer's contact information. And then you're building your own press
Yeah.
list. And then you can say, hey, we have this. Usually you want to like you want to have a successful story with a customer in the US, but even the statistics that you gave me at the beginning are a really powerful news story, right? Like, so this AI startup helps, I guess, are the clients construction companies? Okay. Helps construction companies close 60% more,
Yep.
30%
Yep.
more RFPs. In a country, in an economy of decline where people are worried about things, this is a really powerful news story. You're helping companies and businesses and families put food on the table. And this is a powerful news story. It's also a very old school industry. I've had a couple other AI for construction companies that are not related, product wise or vertical wise, and I'd say the same thing, like construction, pretty old school, maybe one of the most old school. So the people covering news stories are like thirsty and desperate for interesting tech stories. So it changes from please cover our company to, hey, we're a cool company doing some interesting stuff. We'll give you this. It's an offer versus an ask. So when we do PR for companies, we try to find
Yeah.
a valuable story. If there isn't, you can't really fake it, And so I'm working. I'm advising another Indian company that's in the AI space. They're a QA AI tool. You can see it on my LinkedIn, and same thing. Reporters, writers are interested in talking about how software developers are the fastest to lose their jobs from AI right now, and
Yeah.
rightfully so, because they've been very comfortable for the last 20 years getting the highest salaries in the world, all the H-1Bs in the US, everything. Now AI can do it 80% cheaper, 80% faster. That's our news story. That's what we're reaching out to the media with. And so I think that's what I would also say. So all the outbound stuff, go ahead. Yeah.
And where would you reach out to these PR people
No,
at?
it's
Is it
email.
LinkedIn?
And
Does
so
LinkedIn
they
work, or
almost
is it
always, now
email?
they're like,
What do you?
they're sharing their Signal. I never download Signal and message them there. They usually, I would say 75% of the time, they have their
Yeah.
email address visible on the article that they're writing, especially like in the construction space. Their goal is to get people to reach out with stories. So it's not actually spam. It's, I'm creating value for you. It's a different message, right? Then the
Yeah.
other 25%, maybe let's say 15%, they have their Twitter. And so you go to Twitter or X, which I call it Twitter still, and you tweet to them. And this works for me when I do public speaking. I show a screenshot of, I tweeted to Anaheim, who's like a lead startup reporter at TechCrunch like 4 years ago. And we're still on a close relationship. She covers all kinds of stuff. So it started as a tweet. Hey, Anna, I have a great story for you. DM me your email address. She DMs me the email, and then I just consistently create value for her over and over again whenever I have a startup. So You can tweet to them.
Wow.
Again, you're just offering a story. You're not giving them that much information. So they're going to give you their email. And then, yeah, you try to be as targeted as possible. The larger the list gets, there's always going to be people like, Andrew, I shifted. I'm not writing about this. Okay, not a problem. I usually separate the list by top 10% highest value opportunities first. Then we want the CEO to reach out one-to-one to those. Like, hey, we're doing this. I'd love to give you the exclusive story. That's like extra value. Those are your really big publications. I think there's there's two types. You want niche media, so construction, government publications that are talking about those things. That's where you're going to get inbound from like real clients, but you also get like logos as seen in, and the customers that are going to your website, they read those publications. Let's just say it's called Government RFP Weekly or whatever. They see the logo and they're like, oh, wow, I'm actually missing out by not reaching this company, working with them. And I noticed that this stuff also really helps outreach. So and SEO as well, but there's not going to be a lot of SEO stuff for this, I think, for a while, but that's what the PR helps. It lets people know that these things exist. I think that's a good idea. We'll talk. I have some SEO ideas, but so I think focusing on PR, reaching out via email and Twitter is all you got to do. And I'll have that intern passively build that list until we have something newsworthy in the company. But you already have that stat. But usually I'm talking to companies that have closed like 2 clients and we're like, we need a lot more. But you have closed a lot of customers. You have a lot of data that how it works. And I think the real thing is if they're not using it, they're going to get beat every time by companies that are using it. And so it's like, you have only a short period of time until everyone's using it, and then the playing field's level again, and you just have to keep adding more expensive tiers. I mean, that's another pricing issue. Like, it's $200,000 for the VVIP. I mean, in ChatGPT instance, I own a property here in San Francisco, and an AI engineer lives at my house, and he's using the $200 a month version of ChatGPT, and I'm using the free version, and the gap is massive. And I keep the other people that work at GrowthExpertz are using the $20 version, and I'll compare results. And you have to actually build that out as well. That'll buy you more time. So the company that's making millions off you will pay you guys $500K, but the company that's just trying it out is going to start at the $50K, and then they're not going to be able to. So anyway, so PR, I think you should come for events with your husband, but you can also do your own event. Actually, I just went 2 weeks ago to an Indian female founded AI startup. In San Francisco, Rachna from
You did?
Flume AI, FLUME AI. Shout out to Rachna. She's pretty hardcore, great founder. But they threw their own event. And so they're actually in the construction space as well, but they do in the hospitality construction space. I'm trying to remember. They use AI to find vendors to sell like the finishings. She's looking it up right now. Why everyone knows, just so everyone knows. Anyway, happy to introduce you if you want, but basically they threw their own event and I just crashed it because I was like, I didn't like their marketing. So I wanted to go to the event and shame them for marketing into working with me. Didn't work, but but my point is you can come and beforehand you have an intern or team member message like every prospective customer that's in the US, like, hey, our founders are coming. They're doing a tour of the US, or you don't even have to say you're in India. Like our founders are really interested in speaking to you, and they're going to be in Boston at these dates. And you do like a tour. There's 5 or 6 core cities in the US where the most customers are. That's usually how it works. And so you can interest them that way, and if they don't want to meet individually, you can just hold a cocktail hour at a bar or something, and it's very low cost. And when there's free drinks involved, you'd be surprised, people come. And so that negligible cost, and you get 5 or 10 prospects. You can also invite the media as well. So all that list of construction media that we talked about building, you can invite the media to that event. You can invite influencers in the space, other founders that are non-competitive, other potential partners. and you get to meet everybody face to face, and I think that really works. The conferences, there's such a big
Yeah.
cost. I tell startups, okay, you're a little bit further along, but you haven't raised millions of dollars. I don't think you should spend 50K, 100K on going to a conference. So what I tell people, founders, is just go stay in the lobby and tweet like crazy. Be the most active. There's always a hashtag for the conference. Be super active, and you'll still get the value. You can also host a drinks thing outside of the event, the conference hours, and people will come. And that is like the same cost as one of the tickets, but you get all 100% of the attention focused on you, and you get a lot of exposure. And
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be as growth hacky as a bootstrap startup where we'll go after day one to a conference and wait and just stop people. Are you leaving? Are you leaving? Can we have your name tag? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's a big gap, not a gap. There's either people that are ready and willing to test and not. And so it's really easy. Like, hey, are you looking to win more RFPs? Yeah. Would love to show you an AI tool. So standing out front of the conference is going to get just as much value as being in it, in my opinion.
So basically PR, heavy tweeting, I would say, booking the right prospects when we're coming to the US,
That's
and
good.
hosting events, I think. That's
LinkedIn
the,
automation really works pretty well as well. There's some different automation tools. It still works. Email,
yeah.
Since the advent of AI a couple of years ago, email has really gone down. It's different for construction, but still, they're just getting so much spam.
Yeah.
If I was doing email, I would do exactly what I just said in a one-liner. Hey, Andrew, are you interested in winning more RFPs this year? If so, let me know. I've got a great idea. That's all I would do. Hey, avoid spam filters, because if you're using the word
Yeah.
hey or hi, they assume that you know each other. If you say hello or dear sir, madam, or all the BS you get from, you know what I mean? Then it's not going to go through. A lot of AI companies are like using spoof domains
Yeah.
and not including any links. I don't do that at all. I don't want to join that party. So you use your real domain, you include a link, or you don't, and you just say that one
Yeah.
liner. You'll almost never go to spam if you send a one liner. Hey, Andrew, are you interested in winning more RFPs? Let me know. How could Andrew say no? It's the blood of their company. They have to be like, yeah, I want more RFPs. What are you talking about? And then you go, and then you have 100% sender
Duh.
status because they've opened your email. You can send not a longer email. Awesome. Well, I'd love to show you how we've helped blank, blank, blank logo. Can I send you my calendar link? And then they see in your signature the company. You don't even have to like overly pitch them. So that's how you can
Yeah.
still, I don't know if I should have shared my secrets to email marketing, but it still works a little bit. It really depends on the target. No problem. It still works. But
Thank
again,
you.
you're going for quality over quantity. So I do think there's some way to growth hack, like looking at, you said maybe there's an AI side project you can build that just grabs all the RFPs that are out there. And then you actually message the companies that would be valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, then the AI goes, hey, these 5 companies or 100 companies could probably close this RFP. And then there's outreach like, hey, are you guys going after this RFP? They're always going to, no, we didn't see that one yet. Thanks for that. Awesome. Well, my AI tool deemed you really able to get this, but you need to use our tool to get it. And we can save you 3 weeks. It's different that way because
Yeah.
they see the paisa right away than having to explain them everything, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Cool. When are you
that
coming to
makes
the
a lot of
US?
sense. 100%. I think.
Good
Yeah,
timing.
I think
It's too
in
hot
three
right now.
months.
Not that
Yeah.
it's not hot in India.
Around
It's
about.
monsoon and everything,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. Um,
It's
cool.
yeah.
Sure.
And I think just one more question I had. So, since we're trying to enter the market right now, the US market, we were thinking that we should approach with an intent to have feedback on our software instead of
No,
selling it right away.
no,
Do
because
you
it,
think
it
that's a good
portrays
idea?
you as
Because
not knowing that you have
no,
a great product already. Like, hey, we really need feedback. We're a brand new startup is way different. You guys already have 15 customers. You're already making people millions of dollars. America's all about confidence. Like it's come over the
yeah,
top. Actually, I work with BITS Pilani University in India, and like we get interns from there a lot. I have this like I do a fractional CMO thing that I work with early stage startups, so they don't have to hire a full time marketer in the U.S. And we get local. I work a lot with BITS Pilani,
Yeah.
and the number one thing that those kids always write when they're finishing that they learned is the confidence. You know, they're already super smart. A lot of them are CS majors, but I just teach them to like go, 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 especially if you know that your product is like way better than anything else out there. It's like we're not overconfident about an unhealthy
Yeah.
ice cream. We're not overconfident about cigarettes. I don't work with any kind of startup, never once in my career, that isn't changing the game or helping people live a better life or
Yeah.
make more money for their family or whatever it is. So when we have that kind of confidence, then we have to be very aggressive. And so I don't believe in saying at zero, yes, I just want some feedback. If you have zero, that's how you get the first customer, right? It's just like getting right out of college. You might take an unpaid internship because you need to get the experience, but you already have the experience. So why would you go back to internship status? So that's how I feel about that. I think you come to the US, like,
Yeah.
again, you might want to even test not saying that you're launching in the US. Like we're already working with all these companies, especially if there's a global one that they'll, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're already
Which
working
are
with companies
global.
all over the world.
Yeah. Which,
You
yeah.
know, you have to figure out a unique selling point versus the competitors that are already in the US. It's not going to be that you're not in the market. They don't want to hear that you're
Yeah.
not from the US. They're already going to know just from your name that you're from India, which so you don't have to say that. I think the key thing is
Yeah.
we have the highest percentage increase in closed RFPs of anyone in the space. So if you're going to pick an AI tool, why not pick one that's making you close the
Yeah.
most deals? So you need to get that kind of confidence, and those kind of statistics that you mentioned at the
Yeah.
beginning are the only things that really matter. I think another unique selling point is because you are
Hmm.
in India, you can put humans on each project. So if they're old school construction company and they have no
Yeah.
fucking clue how to use AI, you have a dedicated account manager with each deal, and that's different.
Yeah.
Somebody in the US can't really do that. I can't put a 100K employee on a 50K
Yeah.
customer and so in India you can. So then
Yeah.
they have a dedicated person walking them through stuff, and I think that can be a really unique selling point as well.
Yeah.
Well, the
100%. I'm
recording's
just
going to be
taking my
out there.
notes
You're going to
down
be able to
because this.
watch it again with the team. But awesome. Well, any other questions before I let you go?
No, I think this was
Oh my
really
God.
wonderful. Thank you,
Thank you.
Andrew.
I
You're
did
a
not pay her to
genius,
say that.
actually.
Anybody that's listening, thank you.
No, genuinely, because you're
That
hanging out
doesn't
with
make me a
Cindy's and you
genius.
know
No,
all
I
kinds of
think,
business.
um,
You give. No,
I've had the experience.
yeah, I think you've had that experience, right? And you're not from the IT space, and
Amazing. Well, I
you've
really
just given
appreciate
me
that.
so
I should
many
turn
good
this into an
ideas.
ad
Thank you
on
so much.
LinkedIn, but no one would believe me that I didn't pay you to say I'm a genius.
You
But
sh-
what'd you say?
I hope I get. I was saying
Yeah, for
that I hope
sure.
I get
Absolutely.
famous as
Yeah.
well
And
along
then
with
I'll get a
that,
commission.
with the
But
ad.
what I didn't mention offline, we talked about, I am starting another agency. I'm going to say the name for the first time. We're not officially launched, but it's called crucialrecruiting.com. I partnered with a really amazing senior level startup recruiter. And because all of my marketing clients
Cool.
that I grew, recruiting was always the bottleneck. And he's actually a service disabled veteran. And
Yeah.
as a service disabled veteran owned business in the United States, governments, actually, you'll be really interested in this. If you pitch for government contracts, they have to review the service disabled veteran owned business RFPs first. So I'm really
Yeah.
interested to check out your product. We're going to go for
Yeah.
much smaller deals. These are not multi-million-dollar bridge construction deals, but it is still government RFPs. They're not related to
Yeah.
construction. They're related to recruiting. So it'd be really interesting
Right.
to see your product and see how it works. And I'd love to give you some feedback there. I'm not going to give you 50 grand for it, but I'll pay you.
And
I'll be the, no. Nothing's free in India.
I'll
I
give
know
it.
that,
Yeah.
but let's do this. Like I'll pay you a commission out of what we make from it. So I'll be your first case study for that business model. So I think we can do that. And would love to connect when you guys come to the US and help you do that. And if you're interested in, working together further, we can definitely talk about that, because I think it's really interesting what you're working on. You should also think about writing a book about working on your startup with your husband. The only other client or people I've ever known that did that were also Desi. I had clients in Australia that were Sri Lankan, and they were husband and wife, and they're like at 100 mil ARR now. I forgot their names off the top of my head, but the startup's called different.com.au. So I always thought from working with him, like, that's so crazy to work with your husband and wife. And then me and my wife started another agency during the pandemic that did, my wife is a yoga and meditation expert. And we started COVID hit and she couldn't do anything in office anymore with startups and tech companies. So I was like, let's just do this virtually, B2B. So we created a Zoom B2B wellness company. And then we, the same thing I was telling you, we just made it up. We were the first ones. Obviously, I did the SEO and the marketing, so it really blew up. We worked with Meta, Microsoft, Headspace, L'Oreal, Netflix, like huge clients. And it was absolutely we weren't married when we started it. And we got married through the process of working on a business together, because it's like, honestly, it is one of the greatest feelings working together on something. And I think we also learned better how to communicate as a partnership too. Like, you take your separate space, what your talents are, the respect levels go up. So I really love that. And more respect to you and your husband. What's your husband's name? Cheyenne. Shout out to Cheyenne. Hope he likes this episode. Isha, it was so awesome to talk to you. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. Thanks for staying up late. I will talk to you again soon. Cheers. Thank you. Absolutely.
That has been another episode of the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by GrowthExpertz. If you liked this episode, please subscribe. And if you really liked it, please share with other founders and entrepreneurs. Thanks. And we'll see you in the next episode.